everyone, it's Kelly with Women for One, and I am so excited to be continuing a conversation with a new member of my tribe and an existing member of the Women for One community, Christine Hassler. So welcome, Christine.
I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah,
I kind of wish I was in your room. That fire looks nice.
Yeah, well, it's freezing up here in Seattle and pouring rain, so I need my fire. Well, it's so nice to see you, and I'm really excited for our community, guys, because Christine, first of all, I have been setting my intention this year to find that tribe that supports me, uplifts me, and that I'm completely aligned with. And I have met so many incredible women and men, and Christine is really a shining star in that tribe, because we talked about a month ago, and I could just, I felt like she was a long lost friend. And I really feel like she is serving the world, serving women in the way of teaching them how to take life by the reins and make life happen, just like we talk about at Women for One and in our community. And Women for One, she's also a truth teller on Women for One. A couple years ago, wrote an incredible story about freedom. So check that out on our site as well. She's a teacher, an author, a speaker. I love her. Her books are, I do. Her books are Expectation Hangover, The 20-Something Manifesto, and 20-Something 20 Everything, which I love because you're really addressing the younger generation of women.
Yep.
Because we need to do that. And I just want to welcome you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, Kelly.
Yeah. So I want to start with another, and I hate to keep praising you, but I really want our community to understand your impact on women in the world. And another very well-known woman, as all of us know, that's truth teller at Women for One, Ariana Huffington, said that your clear voice reminds us, no matter where we are in life, of a real timeless truth, that we all have within us the ability to meet life's challenges, be empowered through adversity, and move to grace.
Struggle to grace.
Struggle to grace, yes. Sorry,
Yep.
Struggle to grace. Struggle to grace. And that is what I feel like Women for One is all about. So can we talk about that statement right there? How do you feel like in your journey you've been moved to do that for people?
Oh my gosh. Well, first, the first person I had to do it for is me. I mean, there was so much struggle in my life, and I think we all have our struggles, and we all have ways that we suffer, but that's part of the human experience. As human beings, we learn through contrast. I know light because I know dark. I know hot because I know cold. And, a lot of people don't come to a retreat or come to me for coaching because they're like, oh my gosh, Christine, everything in my life is amazing, and I just want to chit-chat with you. If something has happened that I call it an expectation hangover, and this doesn't just happen to 20-somethings, this is for any age, and you're thrown off your kind of control and certainty rocker. Because we really love to have certainty, to have control, to know what's going on, especially the type A, high-achieving people. And then when there's any kind of uncertainty or life throws us an unexpected curveball and we have an expectation hangover, we do struggle. Not only are we struggling with, okay, well, what do I do? But we're struggling with all the feelings and emotions and thoughts that come up in that time of uncertainty. So for me, I get really excited when someone has an expectation hangover. And I know that sounds a little weird that I get excited when people suffer, but the reason I get excited is because I know that they have this window of opportunity to heal something, to learn something. Now the thing is, it's not a newsflash that anything challenging, there's a blessing in disguise. And I'm sure you and everyone out there has heard, there's a reason why this is happening, But when you're going through the struggle, you want to punch that person in the face. Yes. You're like, I don't know what the reason is. So there's that. But we don't just struggle because something better is going to happen. That's not the only reason. And this is, I think, what a lot of people don't realize. We also struggle to learn or heal something from our past. So, and that's where my work with people really comes in. Yes, I'm going to help you heal and shift your vibration so that something better comes along, but we're also going to be like, wait, maybe this is happening because this is triggering something from the past that I need to look at and finally heal. So, for example, somebody who's going through a bad breakup and feels abandoned most likely there's a story or an issue of feeling abandoned at a young age. Either they were teased and left out, or a parent left, or whatever. So I think that's the important thing about struggle. It's not just about getting through it so that you get to something better. It's diving deep into it, learning and healing so that you actually change inside and shift your vibration, and then naturally better things happen that are more aligned.
I completely agree. And I mean, you look at Women for One, we're asking women to share their stories, their experiences from their past, what they learned from it, how they healed from it, and how they're taking that forward. So that's basically what you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. What you learned, how you healed, and how you shifted. Because transformation isn't about going from one external thing to a better external thing. A transformation is about shifting and healing inside so that what you create and attract is in more alignment with who you really are, not your issues, not your persona, not any of those things. And we all have to go through, as you would say, those messy moments, you know, and those like dark night of the soul. And I, like many women out there, have found myself on my bathroom floor, which I don't understand because our bathroom floors are disgusting, but we go there when we're upset.
I know.
And we're like laying on our bathroom floor with all the hair or whatever going, you know, like, what do I do? Do I really want to be here? And often it, you know, surrender is one of those spiritually sexy words, like, I surrender, but it's really freaking hard. And often we have to be like brought to our knees to finally go, okay, I surrender. You know, and that's kind of the other part is in the struggle, in the expectation hangover. That's often when a lot of us get on our spiritual path.
Right.
Like really feel it and get on it, not just go through the motions of things
I should be, or it would be good for me. It's really like on the knees, ready to go. Yes, I completely agree. I totally agree. And I, you know, the quote that you said, which is my next question to you around this, because this is a great conversation, is you can wait for time to heal, or you can start healing disappointment now. You may not have control, but you do have choice on how to respond. And I believe, as you know, that choice piece is more of the differentiator than anything in our world, because we all have that choice.
We all have that choice. I'm going to give a silly example. It just happened this morning. I was just working and my phone rang and my trainer called me. He's like, where are you? And I was like, I'm at home. He goes, our session was at 8. And I was like, it was at 9. He goes, no, it was at 8. And I looked and he was right. And I was like, oh, well, I'll come for 15 minutes. And I had a choice in that moment to beat myself up or get upset or just go with the flow. So I go and I'm like, well, here we are, just work me out for 15 minutes. And 10 minutes in, he gets a ding, his next session canceled. He can work me out for the full hour.
Perfect.
And so it's like, when these little things come up in your life, how will you respond? You know, and then there's things that are a little harder, like a breakup. Okay, that's going to be hard no matter what. I'm not saying to people that when your heart is broken, you should choose just to be happy, because that's ignoring the natural human experience. However, you can choose whether to grieve in a state of compassion or grieve in a state of victimhood.
I was just going to say victimhood. Perfect. Yes.
You know?
What choice is the better one, the more effective to move forward in?
Exactly. You can choose, like, am I going to choose acceptance and move through this and heal? Or am I going to choose resistance, make the universe wrong, make the other person wrong, make me wrong? And I love a quote from Byron Katie, who wrote Loving What Is and lots of other books. She's amazing. Her work's called The Work.
Right.
And I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if I'm getting it exactly right, but she says something like, when you fight with reality, you only lose 100% of the time. And that's so true. And I think that
you only lose just 100%.
Just 100% of the time. I mean, take those odds to Vegas. You know, no thank you. It's just like, accept. And I think that's where we get tripped up, is we think acceptance means, like, we have to like it. And forgiveness means we have to condone something. That's not true. Acceptance just means going, all right, I don't love this, but I'm going to stop trying to make it different. I'm just going to accept what happened.
And surrender and allow for it, right? Allow for what is. Come into the reality of actually what's going on instead of blaming everyone else. And I definitely believe that. It really frees you up, doesn't it? Don't you find that's one of the keys to freedom right there?
Oh my gosh, it's such the key to freedom, because it also gives you the opportunity to actually feel what you're truly feeling about something. And I think, you know, as women, we're often called emotional, but I actually think we're more reactive. I think our core is we're emotional, but we don't actually give ourselves permission to fully feel and express our feelings. Most of us don't know how to release our feelings. We recycle them. And we come across as more reactive. We show up more irritable, more short-tempered. We have a meltdown and we cry, but we don't feel better after. And we're often afraid of feelings like anger and sadness and shame and rage. And one of the things that I work with, especially on my retreats with women, is learning how to actually feel your feelings with compassion and with forgiveness so they come up and out and you actually release them rather than carrying them around.
Pulling them back in or recycling
pulling them back in, which creates sickness and adrenal fatigue, and you gain weight and your hair falls out, and it's like super awesome.
I have like, I don't know, a million questions with my ADD brain now with what you're saying, because you're talking about, I'm having this visual, and I'm thinking of all my friends and myself as well, and how I recycle things. I can feel when something isn't complete. Either we shove it down, or we explode, we numb, we avoid, we get really angry, we blame. I mean, it's all the victim stuff or the avoidance, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that on your retreats? I mean,
well,
give us a little teaser.
Yeah. So it's highly experiential. You know, we spend a lot of time in our heads. Like, we kind of live here up. You know, even pay attention to how you're breathing in this moment. You're probably breathing here. You're not breathing into here or into here. And so it's very experiential in terms of actually getting in our body and finding a still, quiet place to actually allow the feelings to come up. Because it's sort of like, you know, when I teach masculine feminine dynamics too, and I tell women the biggest thing you need to stop doing is interrupting and talking over your man. If you just be quiet, he will, the words will come. He will speak. But if you interrogate and push, and then it's like it just shuts down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how our feelings are. When they know we're going to give them the opportunity to come up and out, we can allow that. And so I do a lot of work with how to really feel grief and sadness with the space of compassion. It's some partner work. And I actually facilitate an anger burn where women can go in a safe way where it's all set up. It's not just catharsis. It's very therapeutic. Actually feel and release anger, because I have a lot of women come into me and be like, you know, they're complaining about, you know, body stuff or headaches or depression or whatever. And I'm like, well, have you dealt with your anger? I'm not angry. Oh, okay, sure. Because you might not feel that, but as women, we pick up. There's a lot to be pissed off about in the world. You know what I mean? And
we
it's
absorb it, right?
And we absorb it. And as little girls, we don't have those outlets. So I facilitate a process where you can do that. And I swear, I've had women, after doing this kind of anger burn, drop 20 pounds because they were like holding on to all that emotion, stop having thyroid issues. And basically, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this, one of the many reasons, is I was put on Prozac when I was 10. And I didn't get off of it until I was 30. It was all different antidepressants and Xanax, anti-anxiety. I mean, I was like a drugstore or pharmacy. But this work, this kind of emotional release work that's then supplemented by the mental reprogramming, the behavioral shifts, and the spiritual connection, because I'm very emotional, mental, behavior, spiritual. They all go together. This is the work that helped me. And so I'm so passionate about teaching it, because I'm somebody who was told, you will never get off antidepressants. You will never totally, you know, and I was just like, really? Like, that's my choice?
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. Just everything that you're talking about. I actually now want to come to a retreat, because, I mean, right before, I'll give you an example. And, you know, we have to have that awareness of ourselves first. You talked about, I'm not angry, you know. I know several of my friends that I've said, you might want to process that anger. Like, you know, I could see it. And right before the call, I was videoing to practice to figure out where to be. And I was with my assistant, and I looked at it after. I went, oh, I'm a very angry person. And I was like, because I just was like, this isn't working, and you know, and I thought about it, I was like, I need to release that, and I need to know the difference between releasing and then pulling it back in and shoving it back down. And I mean, it's a lifetime journey, isn't it, with women, for anger, for sadness, for grief, for all women and men.
Yeah, it's definitely a lifetime journey, but I have to say, the more you do it and the more tools you have, the easier it is to shift. Like, I don't spend a lot of time in expectation hangovers anymore, and my space between them gets longer. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, but it's almost like we're always evolving. And for a long time, my work was more about the feelings and the shifting and everything like that. And I have the tools, and when I get triggered, I know what to do about it. And it's sort of like once you kind of peel back those layers, you start to get to other things. It's like your intuition starts to open up. Like there's different kind of levels that we get to. So, but living in the world and just being a human, like you're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna get like, I sometimes observe myself in traffic and I'm like, who am I? Like I just turned into like some a-hole truck driver. Like what is happening right now? So yeah, it is a constant process, but with consistency, it gets so much easier because you know what to do.
Right, right. So how can we find out about your retreats and how many are there and how long are they?
Oh, there's lots of different kinds. So I do 2 of my signature retreats, which I was telling you about, where I teach the emotional, and we work with all different kinds of kind of archetypes. We learn how to go into, as women, like the mother in us, the teacher in us, the artist in us, the Venus in us. It's incredibly beautiful. It's very like-minded. We sit in circles, highly experiential. You're not sitting there like taking notes. Everybody gets some one-on-one coaching as well. So that's January 8th through 10th, like an hour and a half outside of LA. You come Friday at like 4, you leave Sunday at 4, you spend the night there. You just have one other roommate. So you share a room with one other person. Yeah. And so I do that twice a year in January and July. And then I do a retreat in Costa Rica in May, in Nosara. I know you were just there.
Yep.
Which is amazing. Costa Rica. I pick retreat centers based on the like energy that's there. So Costa Rica, it's experiential personal growth work combined with ziplining, surfing. Like we stay in a beautiful villa. I only take 14 people. And then we've got Bali in September for a week. And that's all about like self-love, and we're doing yoga and meditation and just being in Bali. And magic happens at the retreats. Like I just feel like that's how the divine uses me in a lot of ways. So we laugh, we eat great food, we heal, we grow, we get inspired.
You create a new posse, a new
totally
group. And I think it's really important and valuable for women to do those retreats where they leave their home, because there's so many commitments at their home.
There's so many commitments. And it's so important, and this is one of the many things that I acknowledge you for, Kelly, and that I love about Women for One is we need a tribe. We need a tribe. And I just love that we're evolving out of comparing ourselves to each other and competing with each other. I get goosebumps when I talk about it. And we're helping each other. And having this kind of tribe and connection makes marriages better, because we're not, and relationships better, and our relationships with our kids better too, because we're not just relying on our nuclear family. Like the nuclear family system we have set up is kind of weird. Like it doesn't serve us. Like we need a tribe. We need our community. So I love Women for One, and I love that you're creating this space where people can come together and get different needs met.
And I love that too. I was just talking to a friend yesterday about the tribe concept, because I think there's not only just, okay, you have your family, and then you have your girlfriends, you have your sisters, like the lifetime friends. I have my sisters that actually don't have a lot of yearning to grow and learn around what you and I are doing, right? It's just, they're just your sisters. They're your girls. And then I feel this need, like you've got to find that tribe that wants to do this kind of work.
Absolutely.
I feel it's really important that you have your different kinds of tribes that serve you in different ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's an expectation hangover. I say, don't go to a Chinese restaurant when you want nachos, you know? Because you have an expectation hangover, and you've got to know that with people in your life. Like, who's a Chinese restaurant? Where can I get some chow mein or whatever? I don't eat Chinese. Or, like, who's a Mexican restaurant? Like, where can I get this? And we need those different people for different things. And so we can just accept people for who they are and not try to change people.
Not try to change people or bring them into a different tribe, or, you know, it's just who they are. And, you know, creating those values around what you need in that tribe, I think is really important, getting laser focused around that. That's what I've been doing this year.
Yeah. And I think it's important too. I'm glad we're talking about this, because one of the things that I did when I got on the like awareness path in my early 20s is I was full of all this information, and all of a sudden I just preached to everybody, and I was going to change everybody, and like I'd be out with my friends, and all of a sudden I'd be coaching them, and that is no bueno. Like you don't want to do that. It's like
I did it too.
Oh,
I you know what? My lifetime friends are still with me for some reason. They just love me. They were like, Kelly,
they just loved you through it.
Yeah,
they're like, shut up.
Because actually I find some of my greatest teachers and my dearest friends aren't on the path I'm on. Nobody's on the same path. And they don't need to be preached to. They have it in their own way. So, yeah, I agree. So you also do this great thing around podcasts, and they're called Over It and On With It, which I love. I mean, everything you do is so grounded, but you're bringing that spiritual and emotional aspect of learning into it. And that's like my favorite thing about you, is just combining the two. So will you talk a little bit about what you do?
I'm the daughter of a CPA and a totally emotional based therapist. So
good. Masculine,
I'm the offspring. Yeah, exactly. I love my parents. They're great. They're great polarity. So I definitely feel like what's unique about my work is the integration of the practical and the spiritual. And so Over It and On With It is a podcast, and it's the only podcast like it out there where I coach people live on the air. And so, and I wanted to do this because, one, I wanted to serve more people because I only coach a few people, and I get a lot of people that want to coach with me, which I love doing. And two, in doing this for 11 years, I see the value, like when I'm doing a retreat or whatever, or workshop, and I see one person get coached, I see the value everybody else in the room gets from watching. Because often when someone else is getting coached on an issue we can relate to, our defenses are down and we actually receive a healing from it. So it's great to be able to listen to other people get coached because you learn a lot. And then I also wanted to be able to help train coaches and people that are doing this work to kind of listen to some of the tools and skills. And so every week there's about 1 to 2 episodes of listening to a session. I teach in the beginning, I set it up, I play the call, and then I break it down and give you takeaways that you can implement. And then there's little things called Coach's Corner, where it's like a 3 to 5 minute thing where I just teach about a subject. Like this week it's about regret, worry, things like different topics like that. So I'm having so much fun with it.
And what are the average, what's the average woman or man you coach? Is it just women?
Oh my gosh. So at my retreats, it's women aged 22 to 65.
A really small demographic.
Really, yeah. And it's so amazing to see the different generations come together like that. It's really, really sweet to see. So that's it. I mean, it's like and same with the podcast. I have women calling in their 50s, 60s, and then like the one that went up today, the girl was in her 20s. So it's a wide range, which I like. I like being able, I think it's because I've had so many different life experiences and expectation hangovers that like a lot of people relate. And then my private clients are individuals, and actually right now most of my private clients are men. So 3 men, 1 woman. I only work with 4 people at a time, which is really so wonderful to work with men because I'm seeing, I'm getting to understand men even better, and they are, I think right now men are kind of in a confusing place. The feminine's really on the rise right now.
Yes,
feminine energy's coming back in. Masculine paradigms are breaking down. So there are a lot of men going, what does it mean to be a man? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what's my purpose? So I feel really blessed to be able to work with some men during this time.
Well, and I also think to that comment, I really believe in the book I'm writing right now, it's all about integrating the masculine and the feminine. Yes, the feminine is uprising right now, but I truly believe we as humanity have got to integrate that feminine and masculine inside of ourselves. I feel like that's the new movement. I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, that was my whole journey. Like I got divorced 4 or 5 years ago, and it was all, and that like one of the things I had to learn after my divorce was I wasn't supposed to date anyone. I wasn't supposed to be out there. It was really about integrating the masculine and feminine inside of me. And healing the shadow masculine and shadow feminine inside of me, and then integrating those. And I think we all have our essence. Like my essence is more feminine. I'm happier. My health is better when I'm more in my feminine energy, and I know when to pull up my masculine and use it. But if I let my masculine energy lead me too much, I end up addicted to results, overachieving, stressed out, like all those kinds of things.
Correct.
So yes, they're integrated inside of me in terms of being balanced, but it's like, how do you really know when to be in one and when to be in the other, and how they play out together?
Yeah, it's that balance, right?
Totally.
It's a dance. It feels like a dance to me in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And then when we feel that balance, we feel complete inside, and we're not looking for someone else to complete us. Like that line from Jerry Maguire, that you complete me, that is just so
It just
wrong.
makes me want to
so
vomit.
wrong.
I know. When I see it, it's like...
So wrong.
So back to this. It sounds like what you do is you help people transform themselves. And I know you and I have spoken about transformation, and we both have that belief system that it is challenging to sustain transformation. It's challenging for me. I have a belief, so I need to let go of that belief. I'm working on that. Because whether it be a diet, an emotional shift, a belief system you've let go, moving into a new space in your life, how do you believe we can sustain transformation more?
Yeah. So it's really about reprogramming, and this is something that I'm going to answer this in two ways. So the first thing is your belief systems and everything that I don't just mean you, Kelly, I mean just anybody listening. Your story that you've set up, even if you see how parts of it are quote unquote wrong or dysfunctional or don't serve you, it's still your programming for decades and decades. So it's what your ego is very used to and what you're very comfortable with. So transformation happens, and usually when we have a healing or a transformation, we get in touch with our heart, we get in touch with our soul, right? Which is separate from the ego. And all of a sudden, we start to feel this amazingness. And that lasts for a bit, but then the ego goes, what the F is going on? Like, this is not how things work here. And so it grips back on, and how it does that is with old patterns, old programming, you know, same kind of thing. Like, for example, losing weight. All of a sudden, you start to feel, like, confident and, like, enjoying your body and, like, this whole new lightness. But maybe that weight protected you for years. Maybe that was, like, part of an identity. And the ego goes, wait a second, we can't be seen. It's not safe to be seen. Like, this isn't what we're used to. And so the saboteur will come in and bring it back. So what is so important, and this is what I really really kind of moved the needle for me in my own life, is I realized that I had done so much excavating, so much deprogramming. Like, I could analyze myself to death. I knew what needed to change, and I knew how to change it. And I put a lot of energy into healing and changing. But what I didn't put enough energy in was the reprogramming and the repatterning. So it's so important. Like, for example, I'll use a weight loss example again, because a lot of people with weight, it is a way to protect. It is a way to hide. It is a way to not be seen, all those things. And so what the reprogramming has to be is all around safety and security. So, like, a good way that I work with my clients on reprogramming is every day for 5 minutes, like writing out their new story. Not typing, but literally writing it out. Recording it on a voice memo, reading it. It's safe to be seen. It's safe to be seen because blah, 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 blah. Because anytime we heal or grow or transform, we disrupt neural nets. And if you don't put new neural nets in your brain through thoughts and behavior, then you're going to go back. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and I can relate completely, because I have been on a weight loss up and down for years, right? Had babies, you know. But about, I would say 4 years ago, I lost a ton of weight, and I felt really good. And I'm a sexual abuse survivor. I don't like to call myself a survivor, but I've been through it, right? Incest. And I remember the day I would walk around and I'd get looks from men, and I'd felt it. And I remember looking in the mirror going, this isn't going to last. I can't do this. I heard it in my head. And I gained the weight back, all of it. And I think about it now, and I know the difference is the programming was really bad. I felt good about myself. I was powerful. And yet there was a place in me that still wasn't happy and felt very unsafe. So I'm almost like having you coach me now when we talk about it. You know, it's like, so reprogramming that would have been really good for me in that moment. And still now.
Absolutely. Like, it's safe to be seen, and like really talking to that little girl and being like, it's over. Like, I'm here, you know?
Even if you consciously believe it. Even if you, it's the subconscious that kind of comes up. That's saboteur.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the only way we reprogram the subconscious is really starting to like reprogram the mind, and not only saying it's safe, but feeling safe.
Yes.
You know, it's like in this moment you feel safe in your cozy bedroom with your fire, and then bringing that feeling of safety and imagining yourself walking down the street and having men look at you and bring that feeling to that event. So that's the
great.
thing.
It's a feeling. You carry the feeling.
Exactly. You've got to reprogram the mind and thoughts, but you can't just read it like, one of my coaches was working with me. She's like, you're reading your new programming like a newscaster. Like you've got to feel it. And so like, that's the thing. You got to feel it. You got to see it. And that's what starts to shift it.
So it's not just about affirmations. And that's why I've always not been a greatest fan of just affirmations. It's about feeling, emotional affirmations. It's really carrying that feeling.
Right.
That's great. I love that. So you believe that's how we can all sustain the transformation that's positive and effective in our lives.
Yeah, I believe and I've experienced.
That's great.
For sure. I mean, this is all how I got off antidepressants. This is how, I have sexual abuse history too. And it was so funny because, not funny, but when I didn't remember it until about 3 years ago.
I remembered it when I was 30.
Yeah, it's like you remember when you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, when I remembered from my lower abdomen to like my upper thighs, that month I remembered I lost 10 pounds just in that area.
Wow.
And I'm a small person. So it was like I went whoop, because all that energy that I was carrying around there was released.
Wow.
And a little bit came back on to kind of just, because I needed it. But it was like as I worked with that, I really had to work with it's safe to be seen. It's safe to be a woman. It's safe to be sexual, all those kinds of things. And so it's healing it in terms of letting the memory come up and grieving it and healing it. But it's also about we've got to put that new programming and the new feeling back in. Otherwise, it continues to loop.
And do you think the new programming comes obviously with the awareness of what you're saying, the self-talk?
Oh,
because
huge.
I'll hear myself like, around even the book that I'm getting published now. Oh, I don't deserve this. And I heard it in my head. I went, wait a minute, yes you do. Like I had to be like the mom to myself. You deserve, why don't you feel like you deserve this? It's to get that awareness is really powerful, don't you think?
Yes. And when you have that, that's beautifully said. And when you have that awareness, a good thing to do in between I don't deserve it and yes I do is to go, I forgive myself for buying into the misunderstanding I don't deserve it. Or I forgive myself for judging myself as unworthy. Like putting that forgiveness in between those two things will also help repattern and reprogram. And because like you knew when you were born you were worthy and deserving, and then things happened and you formed a belief statement and a judgment about it. So forgiveness, like the process of forgiveness is really about like forgiving misunderstandings and judgments we bought into.
Mm-hmm. I just love all of this, and I think it's so powerful for our community because, if I wish every woman could listen to this, and I think we would all shift and transform and be able to sustain that this way. And that's why I love that you do the podcast as well. If somebody can't come to your retreat, they can get your books and they can listen to you talking. And I meant to ask you this before with these podcasts. Can you give me like a list of the different issues, like just a few that women could just tune into? And it says it on your website, right?
Yeah.
Like
so far we've talked about we talk a lot about self-love, relationship with self, breakups, loss, like somebody dying, career transitions. Do I need to make a career transition? Money, health issues, weight loss. Should I move or not? I mean, it's just like, again, I call it over and on with it because whatever your it is, like, let's talk about it.
Let's get over it. Let's move on. Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, it was such a pleasure to talk to you. And I just want to once again tell our community to contact you at christinehassler.com, right?
Yep.
And is there any other event other than your 2 retreats coming up?
Yeah, I'm always doing workshops and events and those kind of things. So the best thing to do is just subscribe to my list. I don't do a lot of marketing and JV stuff or anything like that. My emails are all content driven. So every week I do a video and a blog. Like this week it's on stepping into your gifts and how to do that. Mm-hmm. So I'd love you to be part of my community. And if you're interested in a retreat, just email Jill at christinehassler.com and she'll set up a discovery call with you and we'll figure out, how we can serve you. I didn't even mention, I also do a 6-month business mastermind training program. And I teach people how to build their business in an organic way, kind of like how I did.
Well, you're definitely a master teacher. You've got just amazing. And it's been so great to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you. I feel blessed to have had amazing teachers as well.
Yes. And what I love also is that you talked about your teachers. You're on that path. You're still the major student. You're just working it. You're working it.
Yeah, I have 3 people I work with. Like, I'm always working it. Yeah.
Me too. I love it. So thank you so much, and I hope everyone enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And thanks, Christine, for everything you do.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Take care.